I want to welcome everybody back to the Monday 11th Office Hours webinar. I was out for a little bit with the holidays, but am back and over the severe bug that I got, so hopefully I won't be coughing in anybody's ear. So, moving right along here. What are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about how the AI did today, and we're going to talk about how you can let the AI actually be your teacher by repetition. Also, using the new functionality of the limit alerts for entries or re-entries, as the case was today. So, without further ado, just want to make sure everyone knows that the chart I have right up here is just the daily for the 5-minute, or excuse me, the intraday for 5-minute candles. We got the daily chart over here, so when we're looking at stuff, chart on the right, intraday, chart on the left, daily. Okay, so how the AI did today and how many strategies were in the hopper for today's session. And of course, I saw these last night and I was like thinking to myself, okay, this is telling me something as a trader, because we can all have preconceived notions of what the trading day is going to be like or how it might unfold, but you know, a lot of the times those are just ideas. Maybe they come to reality, maybe they do not. As everybody knows that's been in the game for a while, preconceived notions can be your worst enemy, especially when it's dealing with a specific or a particular stock. But having said that, let's ask ourselves the question, why were there only 3 strategies that the AI selected today out of a base of over 50 strategies? And before we move on, I'd just like to refresh everybody's memory. Those of you who own the AI channel or own the OddsMaker license and are actively watching the AI channel, and for those of you who are not yet AI subscribers, why this technology is so important moving forward. So, every night before the next trading session, you know, just want to reiterate what the AI is doing behind the scenes. It's taking a base of 50 of the most high probability strategies and re-optimizing those strategies. And only the strategies that make the cut are the ones that show up in the AI window for the next morning. And so those of you who have been watching since, you know, inception or for the past couple of weeks, you know that some days there's like 11 strategies in there, but today we only had 3. Now keep in mind, 50 base strategies were analyzed and re-optimized over and over again, covering about not quite 1 million, somewhere in the 800,000 range of complete trades analyzed. And so today, the AI said these are the only 3 that made the cut. So what does this mean exactly? It means that, you know, only a small percentage of the strategies made the cut, obviously. But what kind of expectations should it give us for the trading day? And if we just pull up the SPY today, and of course this little purple area is simply pre-market. Friday's close here, today's open here. So as a human being and a trader, we're looking at the fact that, well, we had a gap up. That must be good, right? And so we had a small gap up, and then we had an immediate downdraft. And if we just look at the action on the 5 minutes today, we go down, we go back up, then we go down, and then we go back up, and then we take this final leg down. But the bottom line is, this type of activity sure doesn't make it easy on us traders. You know, we're in some good short positions, then all of a sudden they wiggle back against us, maybe we get stopped out, as it was with some of the AI trades today. But the bottom line is, you know, I'm more or less happy with the fact that there were only 3 strategies presented for today. So we're going to look at this from 2 different standpoints. Number 1, just look at the numbers, the gross closed out numbers today. When I say gross, I mean simply before commissions, right? So how many trades did we have today? We only had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 trades today, both produced, or excuse me, all 6 were produced from the 2 short strategies, the long never fired. So when we start looking at these trades, Now, number one, on a day like today, I'm very pleased to see only a few strategies and only a few trades, because looking at the gross numbers on a what can only be perceived as a difficult trading day. And as we all know, there's no human trader or any algorithmic system out there that's going to win 100% of the time. Now, we might get on little rolls and string together, you know, in a conducive market, nice winning streaks. But as we all know, things change, even more so in today's market, which is highly driven by computer programs and trading algorithms. So looking at today as a losing day on, you know, basically a very difficult market day, seeing the AI down 60 cents, let's just round it up from 59 to 60, on 6 trades, not a bad losing day. And everybody needs to keep in mind we still have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday to go. So what's going to transpire for the rest of the week? Hopefully we'll be green, but nobody knows for sure. So just taking it for what it's worth, face value. On a difficult day, down 60 cents on 6 trades, that's about an average of 10 cents a trade loser. Now, having said that, not bad for what it is. However, let's start taking a look at these trades, and of course, we pull up CINA. Now, at first glance, what a beautiful short entry we have here. I think everybody would agree with that. Now, unfortunately, we had some pretty tight stops today. So as soon as we get in, we get 50 cents wiggled against us, boom, trade closes. And then we look and we're like, well, the trade worked, right? But the stop loss got us right off of the bat. So, as humans interacting with this system, when we can either feel the choppiness or, that's what the market is telling us, reverting back to the SPY here. It was not an easy day sitting long or short in this area right here. Not till we released at the very end was there a little bit more predictable trading activity with these wick patterns that obviously got put in at the bottom, just as we saw right here. But looking through, let's just go through and look. IDXX wiggled out once again, would have been in a position to exit for a profit. NXST, that one was probably just a loser no matter what. But there were a lot of trades today that barely got us out and then ended up going the way that we thought they were going to do. And I'm sure all of you sitting out there, just like myself, who've been in the business for, years, if not decades, we all have experienced this before. The great necessary evil that is a stop loss. And there's been plenty of times, days just like today, where, sometimes your stop loss gets triggered by a penny or 2 pennies and then rolls right back over and does what you think it's going to do. So even though we had some wiggles out here, we still have to listen to what the system is telling us. Because on the choppy days, sometimes we have to take more than one stab at what is perceived to be a good play. And for those of you who have had my training sessions in the past before, you might remember me having said something to this effect. For the past 10 years, and keep in mind myself, Brad Williams, Dan Merkin, we've all been trading these markets since the mid-90s. So we've seen a lot come and go here. So a lot of the times when we do get wiggled out and we still are monitoring the metrics like volume for that specific stock, you know that the wiggles are going to get you sometimes. But how do we know when to re-enter the trade or take another stab at it? So the CINA chart here is a very good example of that process. So if we notice when the entry to short came here on CINA, and that was in the 725 Pacific Standard Time bar, 1025 Eastern Time, it was this bar right here. Let me widen these out just a little bit. Okay, so we're talking about the entry coming in this bar. Boom, we get wiggled out. So once this happens, and of course, there are a lot of you out there who have probably heard me talk about the opening range breaks. So we get wiggled out here, and then the stock is still range bound, considering this is the high, it put in the low, we got short, it wiggled us out. But look what happens in this bar right here, the 750 bar. This is an opening range break. So this morning I took this trade, I got wiggled out, just like anybody else that was participating. And then I'm like, okay, this pattern, I took the AI's advice. The wiggles are extreme today. I got wiggled out. But then I set a limit alert right here. And of course, I did that using the new functionality that we have in store right now. So I'll show you how I did that. But basically, I'm like, okay, whenever this thing pops back through that low, that's a range break. And if it looks good and the volume is good, I'm going to re-enter that trade. And I did. So I got filled, just a little bit below, not quite at the bottom of that wick. Put my stop loss in right up here. And then I was able to get this finally. I think I covered about right here. Just left a little bit of money on the table, but not a big deal, especially on a day like today. So, for those of you who would like to use the limit alert functionality, all we do is we go down to Tools and we pop that new window into being. So, for example, the low of this bar here was 66.58. So as soon as it penetrates, I want to know about it. So all we do here is we right-click and we create, and we type in the symbol, of course, and then the price at which we'd like to be alerted. So obviously, if the low here, hold on, I forgot the price already, 66.58. So I'd put in a price of 66.57. Make sure we have the right symbol. And of course, it's looking at the price now and saying once it goes back up, but obviously at this point in time, it would have put the right thing in and said price goes down to that price. But anyway, that's the way you would do it. And then once you have that in there, it would say working. Now, of course, we sure don't want to miss these things when we put these in. A lot of the times I'll even put a buy stop in just to get me in automatically on the platform that I trade on. But, I do both. So if we want to attach a sound to this, then what we would do is come here to Actions, tell it to play a sound. And this is just like the functionality in the alert windows. All we do is we set up the sound. You can pick one of these pre-configured canned sounds, or you can use a custom sound and import any WAV file that you would like to. So, very handy feature at letting us keep tabs and implement price alerts, which people have been requesting for quite some time. Now we've got the technology deployed, so I would definitely make use of this. And there were a couple of other ones. That was the Cena. We could have done the same thing with this one. We got wiggled out, and then it goes range bound again. But you could have easily set a downside limit alert for IDXX, so that when it penetrates that opening range break, you can recapitalize on it. NXT was never really a candidate for that. This one certainly was. The Dow trade went our way initially, then popped back up and got us out. But we could have done the same thing once again, just by drawing the line straight across from here. A nice limit alert, once it penetrated 45.08, and we could have captured some downside alpha there as well. CLAC, this one would have been a little bit more, it's not near as conducive as the other ones were. You could have done the same thing here. There just wasn't that much alpha to capture unless you set it all the way through here. But the bottom line is that, you know, watching the AI over time will condition you to not necessarily do what feels right, but do what is right based on a statistical basis. Kind of going back to what I said, those of you training sessions for me in the past, I kind of got off topic there. I was talking about how myself and Brad and Dan have been trading the markets since the 90s, and we've seen a lot come and go. So we used to have to rely mainly on price action to trade. But since the markets have done a complete 180, we all know that watching that level 2 screen doesn't really mean a whole lot anymore, unless it's a really, really, really thick stock, and most of the time those don't move. So one of the only things that we can trust these days are our charting packages and statistics, and what I like to term high-quality information stream. So, you know, whether it's focusing on the AI, which from a logical standpoint, you know, what we perceive to be good data and what is really good data, you know, is, you know, it's like idealism versus reality. We have ideas of what good setups are, but that's no substitute for hardcore statistical analysis. So, you know, taking into account when you see very few trades in the AI strategy window, that should be a good indicator for you on how the day is going to play out. We might trend up, we might trend down, but one thing you can be certain of is it's going to be a bumpier ride than normal. And we all had the days where everything just pretty much works to the upside. Everything pretty much works to the downside when we've got these nice smooth charts. Certainly makes our lives a lot easier. But on a day like today, when we had the market doing its little up, up, down, 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 up, 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 down, 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 it was not an easy path to the bottom of that range. So just by watching the AI and how it operates and starting to get in sync with it, you are in essence programming yourself. You are letting the AI train you on a daily basis. And once you get that down, you're going to have a big advantage over most other people out there trying to interact and day trade on an intraday basis. So, you know, there have been alert windows that I've watched for coming up on 8, 9, 10 years now. And they're just simple alert windows. But one thing, there's a commonality between what I'm telling you about the AI and those two windows. And that is, over the course of these years, I wasn't so much aware of it in the first 3 to 4 years, or, you know, you start to realize it. But your mind is being programmed. You know, all this they say about it's hard to teach old dogs new tricks, you know, that's up for debate. You know, your mind is a learning computer. The more information you give it, the more capable it's going to be of learning. So, you know, not only is this a window showing you really cool trades and strategies every day, but let this window be your teacher. So I hope everybody, if nothing else, takes away this. When you see more strategies in here every morning, that should give you a pretty good idea that you can be a little bit more aggressive. When you see 3 or less strategies in here, then that should be a pretty good tell that, you know, after hundreds of thousands of optimizations and covering almost 1 million possible trades, the AI is definitely telling you something. Be careful, proceed with caution. Or, you know, on those days where you see 10 and 12 strategies, you know, that's going to allow you to be a little bit more aggressive, maybe take more trades. So I hope that resonates with everybody. Once again, we kind of fall into a comfort zone. And we look at the AI channel, we're like, not many trades today, it's just not doing so well. But what we have to take into consideration is that that means something. So keep that in mind, and over time, I think you're going to see what I'm talking about here. So, having said that, based on the performance that was spit out today, we'll see what happens tomorrow, and keep these little tidbits in mind, and you will continue to pick up those elements and hopefully increase your performance as well. Now, today having been kind of a choppy, not so easy day to trade, and with all that we've discussed on these specific trades today, we know that if we did make some re-entries, it was still possible to make some good money on these short sells that we got wiggled out with early on by simply looking at the next potential entry, which in this case, they were all the range breaks. Now, what we're also going to talk about today are our friends, the top list, and I've got 3 here that still spit out some really good trades or some good ideas to follow in the future. Now, for those of you who have been following the trend change lubricant, you might get used to seeing stocks that do things like this today. So, for example, one of the trend change lubricants spit out this stock today, and we can see it was real sleepy on the daily for a very long time, and then it started waking up. So the stock is definitely waking up. That's why you got this action at the close today. Now, let's see here. This little list today, at any given point in time that you watch this list today, there weren't a whole lot of stocks on there at once. They would kind of come in, disappear, come back in again. But if we start looking at some of the stocks that came through today, RUSS was one of them. And of course, this is the opening bar for today. And one of the things that we always tell people is that, the consolidation occurs, and then once the activity picks up, it's off to the races. Now, we never know exactly how long the run is going to last. That's all going to be predicated on the chart, obviously. But one thing that we can take to the bank today is that if you were watching this stock already because you'd been alerted to it either the day before, maybe 2 days before, or maybe this morning right on the open, then you were shown a stock that pretty much just went up all day. Now, some of these are ETFs. They're going to go counter to the market, but the end result is the same. These were the things that if you purchased them, pretty much went up all day, and a day where the market was trending down for most part of the day. TVIX came across as well. Once again, take note of the chart pattern. And of course, it's easy to sit here in retrospect and say, oh yeah, when the market's going down, all you have to do is buy the ETFs that go counter to the market. But how do you, exactly, which stocks are coming through there? Because most of the time, this one's spitting out equities. So when it starts spitting out the ETFs, I treat them just the same. It's not like I'm actively hunting ETFs that go counter. These are just the ones that showed up on the list today. And lastly, we had SQQQ. And then one of the newcomers today, this little guy right here is starting to wake up. And we can see the bottoms of the dailies here. Bojangles. Mr. Bojangles went straight up today pretty much. Not huge increments over here to be had, but once again, focusing on the pattern and the updraft on a day where most everything was going down during that part of the day. And I think we had one more. Well, no, FCL. My bad, I can't even read my own writing. EXC. All right, once again, for most part of the day, a nice little up and down action, draw a line straight up, or draw a little trend line here, it was up. This one might not have been so easy to sit in, but for the most part, it was caught in the updraft all day. So, on on a day that was pretty tough, we can learn a lot from the AI, and then our trend change factors and some of these other variants like the float on and Holly's new loves are always pointing out some decent stocks that have a lot of upside alpha in them, even on a day when the market is trending down. All right, so I think we're at a pretty good spot to do some questions and see what you guys have to say today.
Yeah, anyone that's got questions, direct them to the questions panel now. We had David ask, why not have the window take, by default, the price where your pointer was on the chart instead of typing the value?
And that's a very good question. As you can see right now, there's no, well, bingo, there we have it. I didn't think they had put that in yet. But we can see right here, you just right-click, and you can get that limit alert to pop right in there.
We had a question about limit alerts. Someone that's version 4 doesn't have it yet. I let them know that that's coming soon to the public beta. It's not quite out for the public yet. It should be maybe this week, next week. So Carl's got a question here. Does the AI give more weight to recent information versus information from older days, like day 64, if you're looking back that far, when selecting which strategies make it? The reason he asks is because whenever he sees a day where there's only 3 strategies like today, he thinks it's because there were some statistics from days way in the past that prevented other strategies from making a cut, not because of recent market conditions.
All right, that's a very good question. So just to reiterate how our historical functionality works in the 64-day history, so that's trading day, so a little over 3 months on the calendar. So, obviously today, right now what the servers are doing is taking all the tick data for each individual stock and incorporating that data into the database for today, at which point in time, the last one in the cycle will drop off. At that point in time, once today's information is incorporated into the database, then that's when the AI starts doing its optimizations based on our core of 50-plus strategies that are in there. So, a lot of people might think that it's strictly based on win percentage, which you see right here, which that is one of the factors in the scoring system, but our coders have come up with a pretty elaborate scoring system which takes a lot of different things into account, much too much to go into detail about right here. So there's a scoring system based on many factors, and only the stocks that meet the minimum in that scoring system are the ones that are going to be displayed today. So, in the past, from our experiences developing this technology, we would manually configure some stuff and then trade that. I'm talking years ago when we were first developing this engine, and what we ran into was the same thing that every other trader runs into developing models of this nature, is that what we developed, it would work, but we never knew what type of longevity we were going to get out of it. And then, when it stopped performing, we would try to go back in and re-optimize it. But that activity for a human, anybody like us to do it, is extremely laborious and almost impossible to do in a timely fashion. So the next best thing is incorporating the fresh data today, dropping the last day on the cycle, and then rerunning the optimizations, and then only the ones that meet the minimum score show up. So even though 1 out of 64 days may not seem like a lot of data, it does have an impact. And so we are, number one, this is the only system available to anybody, as far as we know, that does this type of activity, that starts with fresh strategies every morning after a complete re-optimization of every strategy in the base count. So we are the only ones anywhere doing this. So there's something to be said for that.
Yeah, do alerts stay if a window's closed? That would be a no, correct?
Right. If you are speaking about the limit alerts?
Any alert, I guess. Are Are hidden gems change lubricant alerts updated during trading hours or just at the close? That would be all day, correct?
Right. So, the trading gems and things of that nature, if you're just talking about a strategy that myself or somebody's created for manual trading, those change only when we change them. Now, like these guys right here, you're talking about, I believe the hidden gems is a top list, right? That's one of the ones I saw Barry watching today. So the only thing that is folded into the AI strategies are configured from alert windows, right, where we involve alerts and filter complements. So, there is a chance that one of those may manifest itself into a strategy if it exists in the strategy complement and then the optimization is met and it makes the scoring system. So anything that you see in the AI channel is re-optimized every night. If you just see a window on somebody's desktop, that's kind of an unknown factor. I hope I answered the question, if I understood it properly.
Do you need the oddsmaker license to see Holly's new love top list? So is that top list available to those who do not currently have the AI, or is it available?
Yes, this top list is not an AI strategy. I believe Dan named this one. But yeah, any of the top lists that you see here, they're no problem to distribute to users who are not AI subscribers.
I don't see any other questions yet. The floor is open to anyone who wants to ask one. We could always talk about the specials we have in the meantime, or maybe show someone something they might be thinking about asking.
Yeah, well, I guess some questions might pop in the interim. If you'd like to, Scott, I can pull up the slides if you want to tell them about the coupon codes or whatnot for now.
Sure. Jose, we do automated trading through Lightspeed. That's as close as we get to that right now. Yeah, I mean, you could pull up slide number 4. So Trade Ideas is the previous slide. So we're a software as a service company, and we have 2 core plans, and that's the monthly or the annual. The monthly is $99 per month, and it includes all of your real-time data. It includes the charting, and very importantly, it includes a full hour of one-on-one training. The annual includes all of that, except it saves you a bundle of money over the year. You save about $300 if you get the annual instead of the monthly. Now, to get the AI and to get the AI strategies does require owning the oddsmaker license. So that's a one-time $1,100 fee to get the AI channel, and also gives you full access to the oddsmaker so you can backtest the entire market and use that to optimize your strategies, all with no programming. Now, Jose's got a question. Can I switch it on and tell the software to pick strategies for me every day? That's sort of what it does, but what it does is it finds strategies that are currently have a high probability of working or being interesting to trade during the day.
Right, and to help, for example,
Jose's looking for a plug-and-play thing he doesn't have to touch, which is not really what we do.
Right, because what I was going to say is tomorrow, let's say 8 strategies show up in the AI window. And let's say half of them are long and half of them are short, but you don't trade short. You can click on this strategy menu over here and only select the ones that you want to engage with. So you can pick and choose based on what shows up for the day, but you're limited to what shows up here.
Yeah, and something I like everyone to be aware of when they come to our webinars is we do offer a way for you to save money if you're not currently a subscriber. So if you go to your handouts panel and your GoToWebinar interface, you can download a PDF which has what's on the next slide that Jamie will show. It has the code OFFICE11, all capitals. Use that on checkout, and it saves half off your first month, 20% off your entire first year, or 25% off the lifetime AI oddsmaker license. So you can get, if you already have a year subscription with us, you can just add the oddsmaker for $825 lifetime. Or you can get the yearly for $710 your first year, and then you're locked in at $888 after that per year ongoing. Same deal with the monthly. Try us for the first month at $49, and then you're on at $99 per month ongoing. Yeah, Jose, you can just buy it for, use that product code Office11 when you check out, and you can just cancel after your first month if you decide not to remain with us. There's no contract, there's no obligation. Just shoot us an email letting us know you don't want to renew, and we'll go ahead and turn off your renewal. If you purchase a year, you're in for the year, unless you want to go for the monthly. That's why there's a cost. That's why there's such a savings for the yearly. That's why there's a discount for the year. It should be fairly straightforward. So slide number 6 is really kind of the meat of the best package that we have. We're only offering this for as long as version 4 is in beta. After that, we'll be retiring this discount. But it lets you save $700 immediately when you sign up to get both the full year and the OddsMaker AI at the same time. So if you click through that link that's in your handout, or type the bit.ly/capital SAVE700 into your browser window, it takes you to a page where you can click right through and buy the OddsMaker and the AI together for just $12.88. And if you're already on our plan for just a monthly and you'd like to get into the AI, this is a great way to upgrade. Just shoot us an email after you do the upgrade to info@tradeIdeas.com saying, hey, I upgraded to the $12.88 package. I'm on the monthly. Just please check my account to let us check my account to make sure that the monthly is not ongoing now that you're on the annual, and we will make sure you're all set up. So again, thanks, Jamie, for the great presentation.
Scott, one question real quick, Scott, from me. I have a question. So our production version is still the 3.2.173.
That's correct.
And, we've been, I guess, beta testing the AI channel for over 2 months now, right? So what is our timeline before the 4.0 becomes the production version?
It might be by the end of January, but I can't tell you what's in the mind of development because it's ready. So they need to. First, development needs to lock down the features that they're not going to add any more to. And we just added limit alert, so that still needs testing.
Right.
After the feature set's locked down, then we continue to test for a little while more before we take it out of beta and make it a real release.
Right, and the reason I asked that question is because I'd like everybody to be aware this is new technology. This AI channel and what we're doing is something that's available to you guys now, which has previously only been available to big dollar hedge funds and big banks like Goldman Sachs and whatnot. So we're bringing this to our subscribers, and the reason I asked that question is just like you said, this pricing, basically if you prepay your $100 a month, it's $1,200, and if you pay in advance, you get all of this now. Now, when the 4.0 version becomes our production version, as Scott said, this will go away, and it will be much pricier. So everybody just needs to keep that in mind, and grab it at the low prices right now because it's probably going to go up significantly when we come out of beta and make this our production version.
Yep, exactly. So thanks everyone for coming. You can find the handout with the discount codes and the links in your attachment that's attached to your GoToWebinar interface right now before we close the meeting out. You'll also get an email with some of the information and a link to how to find a replay of this in your email tomorrow. Thanks everyone for coming. Follow Dan Merkin on Twitter at TradeIdeas1, or follow our corporate Trade Ideas account at TradeIdeas. We're on Facebook, facebook.com/TradeIdeasPro. Just shoot us an email to info@trade-ideas.com. That really is the best way to contact us. What happens whenever you email us to the info address, it goes directly into our help ticket software, so it's routed to the appropriate person. So whether it's a great question for Jamie, our Director of Education, or it needs to go to Brad Williams because it involves our API, or maybe it just needs to go to customer service, we route it correctly and you get the best possible response. Again, thank you everyone for joining us. Keep an eye out in your emails for the next webinar invitation. Thanks, Jamie.
Bye-bye, everyone.